Hi, students. I just want to welcome you to the fifth week of class. We're actually into that now, and that's the next to the last week, as I'm sure you're all very aware. So I hope you're still encouraged. It sounds like you're still excited about the learning that you're getting and some of the insights into your own lives. I just wanted to remind you of a couple things this week. Most everything that you do this week is something you've done something similar before. So there's no new surprises. Want to remind you about writing and documentation. Remember that the parentheses come at the end of your sentence if you are referring to a book number, and then you put a period at the end of the parentheses, not at the end of your quotation. Um, then another thing would be the homonyms, words that sound alike. There and there and there, adolescence and adolescence. Just be aware of those things, kind of the rudimentary rules of what you're writing to make sure that it's clear. That is not the most important part, as I've said, but sometimes those kind of things really get in the way of people being able to easily get through what you're saying and really understand what you're trying to say. So I want to remind you of that and to edit your things, reread what you've written, make sure that it's making sense. Okay, I also want to mention the quiz this week. I'm going to go over a couple of the questions here that I've got on my computer over here. The quiz, whoops, I just went down under it. So let me go back up here to the quiz. All right. There are several questions on the quiz, as there have been in the past, where there may be different parts to it. You are asked to define and distinguish between things. Those are two things. Give a definition, but also make some comparison, not just telling me what it is. The same thing when it says compare and contrast. Make sure that you are doing both of those. Indicate and explain does not mean you just put one word. Indicate, you will tell what the answer is, and then explain something about each of them, and so forth. So just make sure that you are reading the whole question and that you're actually answering everything that was asked. I emphasize that especially this week because the final will be coming up next week, and you have to make sure that you are getting all those questions. Remember, I have asked you or given you the idea several times before that if you are not sure about what a question means, please contact me. I want it to be very clear. This is not just trying to find where you don't know something, but we are trying to still make it into a learning experience. That's why it is open book. The finals coming up. I give you a little bit of a heads up this week. For next week, we will finish the book this week. Therefore, you won't have that much reading next time. There is a lecture that is smaller than normal, or the amount of reading will be smaller. And you will have to do a summary, but it can be shorter because the amount of reading you're doing is shorter. Leave enough time to make sure that you do well on your final exam. It's a little bit long, time consuming, since it is open book. It really, if you're finding it extremely hard, then take a step back and think a little bit about what you're doing. Find in the book where you do it. Please do not just copy. This has to be in your own words, which it has been all along the whole class. But you still can use your book for the ideas. So make sure you get it well written in that I need to understand what you're saying. Make sure that you're answering the whole part of the question and that you are referring to the book. Okay, the next thing that you're doing this week, then you will do another interview. This will be about death and dying. And like the interviews that you have done before, the whole idea is to show me that what you're observing or what you're asking is also something that you can relate to what you're learning in the book. Kubler-Ross is big this week on her ideas about grieving and about death and dying. There are some other points within that of of old age or of the end of life. And so refer to those. It's just refer, refer, refer. Make sure you're letting me know you got it. That not only do you see this and this is what I'm observing, but how does that relate to what the book is saying are the norms or possibility of pathology that you might want to note? The difference between normal grieving and pathological grieving, which is something that lasts much longer. The person doesn't get back to being able to handle real life. And so those kind of things are what you're going to need to know and be aware of when you're sitting in front of a client. I do want to say once again, the timelines are something that look like you are finding some insight into your own lives. Now, the timelines last week, a few of you did not use somebody else because your own life has not gone to that place. When you do your summary, which will be next week, week 6, of a timeline, I will explain more at the end of this week and also in your notes in the syllabus and in the daily weekly assignment kind of thing, what you're supposed to do with those. But it's not just a repeat of what you've already done. It's actually giving me an overall summary of how you see your life and also some projection. So that's looking forward to next week. It will be a major assignment, that and the final. But this week you have the interview, you'll finish up the book. Okay, I don't think that I have anything else. I will also put some of this in writing to remind you about some things that you're looking forward to next week. And happy learning. Please contact me if you do have any questions. Bye.